Welcome in. It's another Minnesota Vikings squad show on Locked On Sports Minnesota and the Locked On Vikings YouTube channel. Glad you joined us today. Find our audio on the Locked On Vikings feed wherever you get your podcasts. It's our Care 11 episode every Wednesday. We do this at 9 a.m. We'll meet our panelists in a second, but before we get to the end of the show, we'll tell you all about Jordan Addison's 3-game suspension and how the Vikings will fill the void. We'll play a little stardom or restum with the Vikings starters in Saturday's preseason game, and plenty more on the Minnesota Vikings, including a bold prediction for the game against the Texans. But let's meet today's panel on our Care 11 show.
Hey guys, Julia Daniels here, Care 11 sports reporter. One more week until Reggie comes back, which is great for everybody in his life, because today I have technically a 14-hour day without Reggie around. We are so excited to have him back, and he'll be back on the show next week. So make sure that you tune in with us next week as he makes his return.
And I'm Ron Johnson, former Gophers and NFL wide receiver. A lot going on in Dinkytown, a ton going on in Eagan. And I got to talk about this quarterback race. It's not over yet.
Definitely talking quarterbacks before the end of the show as well. But let's start with the big story. It dropped about 3:30 yesterday. The Adam Schefter bomb. Jordan Addison suspended 3 games. Now, this isn't a major breaking news event. We knew this was coming. We thought maybe it gets reduced down to like 2 games, but it was probably going to be 3 after his incident got settled in court. So Jordan Addison out week 1, out week 2, out week 3. He misses the Bears, Falcons, and Bengals games. So Ron Johnson, we kick it to you first. The impact of this official suspension now without your number 2 receiver for the first 3 games. We like to joke about, number 3 with you, Ron. In this case, number 3 gets 3 games with the suspension.
Well, not to be facetious, but it's the Bears. So I think they will be okay, but they could lose, but I think they'll be okay against the Bears. Falcons, I think they will be okay against the Falcons. The Bengals is the one where you need weapons and you need a lot of them. And Justin Jefferson will be like 2 months, potentially at that point, 6-7 weeks from his hamstring injury. So he should be ready to go. He was out there jogging the other day at night practice. But that's tough. That's a tough void to fill. I mean, you got Rondale Moore, who's been a starter in the league. You have Jalen Naylor, who's filled in before when Justin got hurt, when Jordan Addison was hurt. So he's done that work. I told you, like, that number 1, I tweeted it maybe, that number 1 he's wearing makes him look bigger, stronger, faster. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's been in the weight room or something. Looks like he, got that Captain America serum and he just came back a different looking guy, but that one makes him look different. But that's a tough void to fill. Like, Jordan Addison takes the top off the defense. He's a deep threat when everybody's, keying in on Justin Jefferson running the over route. He's a guy that, if J.J. McCarthy sees him running free, he can throw it deep, free 3, as they say. But yeah, that's going to be tough. But again, I think the Bears Falcons is winnable without Jordan Addison. I think the toughest one is going to be, that Bengals game. That is tough. But I had them losing that one anyway when I did it on Vikings.com. So it's no secret. Like, I'm not hiding it from anybody, but I had them going 2-1 through the first 3 games. And so I still think they can go 2-1 through the first 3 games.
Yeah, Julia, they kind of had this last year, to be honest with you. Jordan Addison got hurt in the first game of the season against the Giants, and he missed the rest of that game. And he missed week 2 against San Francisco, and he missed week 3 against Houston. How'd the Vikings do in those 3 games? Well, they won them all, and they won a couple of them very handily. And they didn't have TJ Hawkinson, Julia. They didn't have Jordan Addison. They still had a pretty robust passing game. Jalen Naylor in those games had a touchdown in all 3. So is it an overreaction to say that this is like a huge problem for the Vikings?
No, and I will say, we're talking about Jalen Naylor. Jalen Naylor, like Ron said, he's taking care of business this offseason, and he proved himself when he had the opportunity last year. I also think there's a reason that the Vikings have finally started investing in a ground game. Maybe now's the time to really try that out. You have a lot of options when it comes to this offense. Like we've always talked about, it's going to come down to, can J.J. McCarthy make it happen? Everyone else out there, we know can make it happen. Also, it's a deep wide receiver room. And having a guy like Justin Jefferson on your roster makes everybody better. So he sets the standard. Jordan Addison is part of the standard that he sets. But when it comes to the rest of the receivers, like Ty Felton has looked good. Like Ron was saying, Rondale Moore has looked solid. So I'm not like, when I heard this news, I wasn't surprised. But then I also wasn't particularly worried about this Vikings offense. I think should J.J. McCarthy be able to get his job done, everything else is going to fall into place because they've done the work to make sure that the rest of the offense is good to go. The only question mark we have is at quarterback.
The scary thing about that, though, is T.J. Hockenson now gets way more balls his way. Yeah. And that could mess up what Jordan Addison looks like week 4, 5, 6, 7, because J.J. McCarthy in the first 3 games is going to get his feet up under him here's what I'm going. Think about Loveland out of Michigan. That was J.J. McCarthy's guy. You know what I mean? Like J.J. McCarthy loved going to those tight ends. That was his weapons. He had Roman Wilson, but that was it. He was kind of going to 2 guys. Now Michigan ran the ball a ton, but quarterbacks are creatures of habit. Like Tom Brady said, like Wes Welker was like, I'm flying to LA. I don't know if you guys saw that podcast story. Wes Welker was like, I flew to LA just to be in the aura of Tom. Talk about aura farming. Like he was like, I'm just trying to be in the aura of Tom Brady, be around his orbit. When he gets done having some avocado tequila, I want to be standing there if he's ready to just go to the beach and throw footballs. And so that's where the other part of this gets messed up is Jordan Addison is going to miss 3 crucial games of J.J. McCarthy's first ever NFL experience. And if it goes well those first 2 games, even if they lose to the Bengals, that game 4, he's thinking like, man, I know what Justin can do. I know what T.J. Hockenson can do for me on 3rd down. I know what Rondale Moore is going to do for me in the slot on 3rd down. I know what Ty Felton's going to do. I don't really know what Jordan Addison is going to do for me. So it becomes a habit where he might not go to Jordan Addison right away, and that could create turmoil.
It's helpful, though, that Addison can still practice.
Yeah.
He's still around. He's not going anywhere yet. They still get another month together before he has to leave the team and basically go away for 3 weeks. And how will the Vikings replace him? With speed. They literally have a wide receiver 3 named Speedy, Rondale Moore, Speedy, Ty Felton, Speedy, Ron or Julia. Have you observed the Vikings doing things with those receivers at practice that would indicate that they really have a plan? Like, I don't know if it's jet sweeps. I don't know if it's, little short routes to where they can gain separation or what, but what have you seen from Felton and Moore, Ron, specifically?
Nothing. I mean, nothing out of the ordinary. So sorry. So here's the thing though. If I'm a coach, Kevin O'Connell, I'm not going into my offense saying, oh, I'm losing Jordan Addison. Let me plan some stuff for these other guys. I think it's still Keenan McCardell and I talked after the night practice, and it's still business as usual. Like he has every receiver trying to learn every position because what they want to do is not be familiar on tape. They don't want you to turn on their tape and be able to say, oh, okay, here's what we're going to do. Oh, Justin Jefferson's in the slot. Here's what they're going to do. Oh, Jordan Addison's in the slot. They want everybody to know the entire offense. It's kind of like what Peyton Manning had with the if you look at the Colts and you look back to Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison. Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison will be on the same side of the field sometimes, and most people say that makes no sense. Well, it does, because now you can't really key on what they're doing. And then they would go backside to Dallas Clark. Like you just don't know, and I think that's what Keenan McCardell wants. But I will say this, what I've seen from Rondale Moore in the slot running routes, what I've seen from Ty Felton running routes, what I've seen from Jalen Nader running routes, is they can get the job done. I think that's the key. Is like if there was any uncertainty, because you see all these tweets and all these messages saying like, oh, when you see the quarterback running out the pocket, that doesn't look good. Or when you see the defense, celebrating, that doesn't look good. Like they're not going to put in all their special stuff right now in training. This is basic bare bones building a human being. Like this is just like PJ would Flex would say, this is taking the wood and creating the studs and putting the stuff. Like there's no drywall, there's no paint, there's no foam to keep people out. There's no UGG slippers being left in Julia's house in this offense right now. The floors aren't even built. For those that have not seen the Power Trip initials game, tune in. You have to find out why Julia had a UGG slipper left in her house.
There's more to the story now.
But there's no house built with this offense. This is literally, we have to put the wood up first to show JJ McCarthy what a framework looks like of this offense. And then we got 2 to 3 more weeks to get JJ McCarthy all the other stuff. And he had a whole year to watch Sam Darnold anyway. So that's what people don't get. When I remember my training camps, we never did tricky stuff early on in training camp. It was the basic bare bones, and that's why the offense sometimes looks overmatched, because the defense can go crazy every single time they want, because the defense is the defense. There is no framework to a defense. It's just let's twist, let's run, let's go after them, let's do like that's they do the same thing all the time. And that's the difference in the two, offense, defense, and training camp. I guarantee, look at the Bears. The Bears are saying Caleb Williams is a bust because of how bad the defense is beating him there. It's because they're doing the basics right now. So I don't think people really understand what that looks like. I mean, even the Steelers. Somebody saw the Steelers. I'm sure you saw the Steelers post. He threw a dump off to DK Metcalf, and the tight end threw his hands in the air, and people are mad. Dude, he's just getting the basics down with him and DK. Relax, people. Relax.
Yeah, it sounds like Rondale Moore still working through the system. This is a new system for him. Same with Ty Felton because he's a rookie. So you really are leaning on Naylor here. You're really leaning on Justin Jefferson and Jalen Naylor. And I don't feel like I've seen a whole lot of positive press about those depth receivers, in part because your backup quarterbacks have had some issue with this defense that are just ruining practice because of how dominant they are getting after the passer. Or on the backups a little later in the show, but we'll pause first and return with Sit 'em or Start 'em, Preseason Edition. That's next. We're brought to you today by FanDuel. Summer sports in full swing, whether it's baseball, it's golf. Majors are done, but the FedEx Cup playoffs are still coming up. High-stakes soccer action. FanDuel's the best way to make every game more exciting. You also got WNBA action as they wind down their regular season. Make it a little more thrilling at FanDuel. You can put together same-game parlays. They've got new daily promotions that create fun ways to bet. Fast payouts when you win. I promise you, you get that cash quick. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if their first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Make every moment more at FanDuel. All right, Julia, looks like Ron had to step out for a moment, but we're going to carry on here on the Vikings Squad Show on the Locked On Vikings YouTube channel, on the Locked On Vikings podcast feed. It's Rest 'em or Play 'em, or Sit 'em or Start 'em, whatever title we want to give it. Which Vikings will play or should play on Saturday? Now, we've gotten confirmation about J.J. McCarthy. That's some important information. J.J. McCarthy's going to play. Ron thinks it's going to be for one quarter. But what about some other key players on this Minnesota Vikings team? Julia, we start with you. Dallas Turner. Are you resting him or are you playing him on Saturday?
Ooh, I'm playing him. There's so much depth at edge that there's no reason to not play him, at least this Saturday. I don't see him out there a lot taking reps with the ones. I mean, Ron may be able to correct me on this, but he's not. I mean, you look at that room that he's in. He's still a young guy. He had obviously some experience last year, but I think that you get him a little bit more acquainted, obviously, just because he is the youngest guy in that room, and you play him on Saturday for sure.
Might be a good confidence builder to go up against that Texans offensive line. We've seen them at their lowest point, Ron. Dallas Turner, are you playing him?
Yeah, I'm going to play him. And Blake Cashman's playing too. So my guess is Grenard, Gink, one of the two may not play, but my guess is all the guys are going to be out there for at least one series. I'm guessing he wants to get them together. And Julia's right. Dallas Turner hasn't earned the right to not play. Like he hasn't. He's not a guarantee on this team in 3 years when his contract is up. So he's got to show what he's worth, because at some point they got to decide, do we keep Van Ginkel or do we keep Grenard? Do we keep Dallas Turner, Van Ginkel? And like, you can't continue with all these guys this entire way. And so I think at some point that's going to come up. But Dallas Turner, if you put Grenard at the 5 technique, just for like a true like 3rd and 9, you could put Grenard at the 5 and you could bring Dallas Turner in to stay the wide 9. That would just be something to try in preseason anyway, just to put it on film, just to see what it looks like, and then come back and say, oh, we could do this with this, or, oh, this is how the offense reacts, or, this induces them to want to run the ball. And now our linebackers and Josh Metellus, you guys be ready, because if we do this, just be ready for the draw, like all that little stuff to get intel. This is the time to do it. But if that is actually going to be a package in the season, maybe Brian Flores doesn't want to show the world just yet. But yeah, you play Dallas Turner. And my guess is you start maybe a series with those guys. Dallas Turner takes Grenard out maybe right away, or Gink out right away. And then from there, Because again, I don't know if he's the wheel or the Mike. I mean, sorry, the wheel or the Sam. Like, I don't know if he's the true rush in or is he the drop. Like, he hasn't really proven what he is and which part of this defense he can play in. So that's the other question mark. Like, is he a Grenard replacement or is he a Van Ginkel replacement? Like, on the depth chart, it says it, but which one is he truly? Like, what is he better at? Is he better at getting after the quarterback, or can he be a drop linebacker? So I think all that has to be flushed out because, last year, again, Grenard and Van Ginkel, Grenard wasn't on the top 100. Now he's like top 50. So
48.
So that's something that you never see or expected. Just like Stephon Diggs. I go back to that story of drafting Laquan Treadwell. They didn't know what Stephon Diggs was going to be, but all of a sudden he became a superstar. And then like Laquan Treadwell was stuck behind him and Adam Thielen. Like football is one of those things, man, where you can't dictate what's going to happen. And this is the best time for Dallas Turner to show us what it really is. And at his position too, he came out a little undersized. So he's going to get that grown man strength in the next year or two anyway. So then I think we'll see more from him.
Yeah. So you think Cashman's playing, Turner's playing, and maybe Grenard or Van Ginkel. So you feel like kind of dress rehearsal on defense. Maybe we see some of those interior veterans, Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave. That'd be cool.
Those two I don't know about because they're coming off injury and they're older. Allen for sure. He's older, so I don't know. I think they would rest him. But like, I'm looking at the guys that played in the night practice versus the guys who rested in the night practice. That's why I don't think Hawkinson's going to go either. He rested. Harrison Smith rested. Jonathan Allen was rested. So Hargrave was dressed, so maybe he goes and Jonathan Allen doesn't. But that's it. But Blake Cashman's going. Like, he was going and he's going to go. So I just wonder, and we know Ivan Pace is going. So because Kobe King's going to come in, I think right away for Cashman after 1 or 2 series. But he wants to feel, like he said, he needs that. He said, I'm an old school football player. I need to feel that. I need to feel that one hit, that tackle, and then I can come out and I'm good.
Big game for Kobe King too, by the way. Let's get into number 2. Julia, I'm going to extend this out. The 2 starting running backs, 1A and 1B, Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. Rest them or start them?
I think you rest Aaron Jones, you start Jordan Mason. Because why not? When you know what Aaron Jones can do, see how Jordan Mason kind of fits into this offense. Since obviously he's still trying to figure this out too. But Aaron Jones has had a year, and I know they try and keep him as healthy as possible anyways. And I think they're looking to do the same. I can't remember last preseason I don't think he was out there last preseason, Aaron Jones.
I don't think so either, unless there was a dress rehearsal game.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that he had one. So I would say Jordan Mason, start him, and then obviously don't have him play the whole time, and then Aaron Jones, I wouldn't play him.
Ron?
Sorry, Jordan Mason, Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones for sure. Yeah, you said him. He's old. You let the old guy sit. You don't need to play the old guy. Jordan Mason, that's an interesting one. I think you have to play him though because he's new. Like Tay Adams. If it was Devontae Adams, you could probably say sit him. He's an older veteran. Jordan Mason's new, but he's still young. So you play him for sure to get him that feel behind that offensive line or within this offense and let J.J. McCarthy get a feel of how to hand it off to him, X, Y, and Z. Also, we know there's a team that's going to run the ball this year. They have to. And then I think you got to get, I think you're going to get him out pretty quick too, though, because you want to know, is it worth keeping one of these other running backs behind him, whether it's, Chandler or the other guy. So, yeah, but I definitely say you definitely have to play Mason because you want to see what he can really do in pads against maybe a couple of the ones with the Texans. Not sure how many of those guys are going to be in it, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't play Mason. I wouldn't play Jones. I'm going to audition Chandler. I think Chandler is playing for his job on this roster potentially. Last year of his deal, they want to see consistency in his plan of attack when he gets the ball. I know there's some concern about finding the right holes to hit, knowing where to go with it, pass protecting when he's called on. I think that this is a big preseason for Ty Chandler. I want to see as much of him as possible. I don't want Jordan Mason taking any unnecessary hits because I view him as a starter. I think that he and Jones are like handcuffed. They're like a tandem starting running back duo. So I'm pulling them. I'm playing the caution card. I'm starting Ty Chandler. Let's go along the offensive line where the Vikings have concerns. Darisaw, I think Darisaw, there's no chance. He hasn't played, done a full practice yet, 11 on 11s, no way. Will Fry's coming off injury. Ryan Kelly's been banged up at practice. What about Donovan Jackson, the rookie? Donovan Jackson, will he play or will he rest with the rest of the offensive line on Saturday? Julia?
I think he plays. I mean, he's a rookie. I think you give JJ McCarthy some protection while he's out there, considering how last preseason went. You don't want to rest everybody on your O-line while you're starting quarterbacks out there. So, yeah, I think Donovan Jackson for sure we'll see some action from him, I would say, in almost every preseason game.
Yeah, I tend to agree unless they feel really good about him by that third week. I think he will too. Ron, you agree?
Yeah, I'd say at least the first two. The third one for me is a toss-up because, if he's the quote-unquote at that point starter and they feel comfortable with him as a starter, there's no reason for that third game. He should rest with the other guys. And then that third game becomes more of, again, who are your 8, 9, or 7, 8, 9, potentially 10 offensive linemen. I mean, again, this is a team that's going to run the ball, and you're worried about the health of Darisaw. You're worried about the health of these older, Kelly and Fries. They're going to have to make some decisions on that line too. Same with the defensive line. I mean, when you have older guys that have been injured, you got to figure out what's worth keeping, what's worth being healthy. This is a year where they have a bunch of like question mark guys in that 2, 3, 4 spot at the DBs. The 5, 6, 7, 8 spots at the offensive line. This can go a number of ways, but I think from what I've seen, I know where they're going, but it's going to come down to Kevin O'Connell because there's always a guy like Najee Thompson. He shined in preseason last year, and everybody was like, "Oh, he's the guy." We haven't seen that guy yet, but I think this first game, I think it could be Amory Thomas at the gunner, and so we'll see what that looks like.
Our bold prediction segment returns. I can't wait. Preseason bold predictions next on the Squad Show. Yahoo Fantasy brings us today's episode. It's the best time of the year. It's fantasy football. My group chat is blowing up right now. They want to do the auction draft. And of course, when that gets done, it gets transported into Yahoo Fantasy because it's the best fantasy platform. It's been doing it for 28 years and it's only getting better. To celebrate 28 years of fantasy football greatness, Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days throughout August. The new guillotine leagues, they just dropped. Every week, the lowest scoring teams eliminated. Last one standing wins. Spice up your fantasy football experience with guillotine leagues. It's a killer new way to play fantasy football on Yahoo. And with the season around the corner, get your league together and have a talk and say, hey, let's try something new this year, guillotine leagues. Of course, you can also do it the classic way as well, but stay tuned for more killer announcements and start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football now at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. Bold predictions, Julia. Bold predictions returns. It's a preseason football game. I think that gives you the chance to be even bolder than usual. Tell us what's going to happen Saturday, Vikings, Texans, 3:00 at the bank.
My bold prediction is, guys, one of my favorite kids is out there is Dwight McGlothern, as many people know him, Nudie. Undrafted rookie last year out of Arkansas, was desperate to make the roster, made the roster. And saw some play time last year towards the back half of the season. He has had an excellent training camp. He had 3 interceptions in 3 consecutive days last week. He's really just proving himself in that cornerback room. I got to talk to him after his 3rd interception that he had, and he's just like the most humble, nice kid. He's obviously working so hard. He talks to, also, this is the other thing, he's like a chatty Cathy. We could hardly get him to come interview because he's talking to Brian O'Neill. What is he talking to Brian O'Neill about? We don't know. But he's constantly talking to everybody. Anyways, my bold prediction is I think Nudie, I think he almost had a pick 6 last year in the preseason. I would like to see him get that pick 6 on Saturday.
Pick 6 from Nudie McGlothern. I'm all about it. I'm all about that. I wish you had said Zemiah Vaughn. That's my guy, but I will accept Dwight McGlothern as well. Ron, what do you got?
My bold prediction is 4 sacks from the defense. I think this defensive line, these guys, just Brian Flores' defense as a whole, in the preseason, he's not going to do too much, but it still has freedom to keep guys in the box, confuse offensive lines. And honestly, offensive linemen in the first, games, they have the toughest job if they're new. And other than Ariante Ursary in that group, I hope it doesn't come off Ariante Ursary's side. I'm hoping it comes from the other guys. So looking forward to that. But also, I'm hoping for like 4 catches from Daniel Jackson from the Texans. I'm hoping Daniel Jackson gets like 4 catches. Some other one.
But then on the 5th time, they try to throw to Daniel Jackson. Dwight McGlothern's there. Intercepts it. 40, 30, 20, 10. Go. Touchdown. Dwight McGlothern. Ron, who gets the sacks? Divvy him up for us. Top of your head.
Ooh, top of my head. See, I don't know if those guys are going to really go after the quarterback as much. Let's see. One of the starters, so maybe I'll give one to Pace or Cash. My guy Kobe King is going to get one. I'm going to give one to Dallas Turner. And then let's go with either Jalen Redmond or Levi Drake Rodriguez.
Ooh.
Nice. I wrote that down. We'll hold you to it. All right. Here's what's going to happen. We've been wringing our hands about this offense struggling at camp because the defense is just too dominant. Brian Flores is coordinating the preseason or the training camp defense like it's the Super Bowl. He's drawing up the exotics. He's coming at these quarterbacks. I don't think the Texans are going to challenge J.J. McCarthy in the same way. I think that he is right now being immersed in this crash course in how to diagnose defenses. He's going to get 2 drives. He's going to engineer 2 touchdown drives. One of them will go 75 yards. The other one will go 67 yards. He will throw 2 touchdown passes, one to Lucky Jackson, one to Ty Felton on a bubble screen. And then they'll sit him down. That's all we need to see, JJ. You're good. 2 drives, 2 TDs, 14 points, and the Vikings will be off and running with their QB, and we can put all of the concern to rest. And then we can move forward and we can say, hey, we've got our offense. Our defense is dominant. What's stopping us? Let's go. McCarthy is going to dominate on Saturday. And when we return, we've got another quarterback topic that's maybe not as encouraging on the other side of a very short break. Ron, I listened to a good deal of radio yesterday, had some reports from training camp, and some concern arose. And I also talked to some media members that aren't basically what they're saying is Max Brosmer has been just as good as Rippon or Howell, but not necessarily a huge compliment to Max, a bit of a knock on Howell, a bit of a knock on the backup quarterbacks in general, that none of them have really separated themselves. And in particular, Howell has not been excellent. Now, he's new in the system. We get that. The defense is ferocious. We get that. Is it possible that QB2 is not on the roster right now? Is there still a move to be made if the Vikings don't see, maybe in the games, from Sam Howell what they need to see?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, 100%. That's why I think J.J. McCarthy gets a quarter and Sam Howell probably gets a quarter unless they feel like he's good to go and they're more worried about 3. If Sam Howell doesn't really tickle their fancy and they're like, if J.J. McCarthy has knee soreness or something happens and we don't feel like this guy can get it done. Now, Sam Howell has played in games, though. Like, he's been an NFL guy. So maybe they've seen enough on tape that they're like, they're good, and people just aren't super excited about it in practice because there's nothing really to get excited about in training camp unless it's just bombs over everybody nonstop. Bomb. Here's a deep ball. Like, you're not going to see that because Kevin O'Connell, again, he's trying to build the bare bones of this offense first with a new quarterback and then with a new backup quarterback, a new 4th quarterback. I think Rippon's the only one that's been around here. And so with all of that said, the answer is still yes, though. Yeah, I mean, you got the Browns. They got 4 quarterbacks. Like, if somebody gets cut from the Browns, I could see, like, I mean, what if the Browns come up and say, you know what, we've been messing with y'all all year. Shador's the starter. And Pickett is the backup. Flacco, thanks for coming, but we're good. Maybe they pick up Flacco as a backup here to sit behind JJ. Like, because we just don't know. Daniel Jones, I think. Well, who knows? Daniel Jones with the coach, like Anthony Richardson. Maybe somebody from. You just don't know. You don't know what's going to shake out, because that's the worst for a player. I remember those days, sitting in a hotel, sitting in the house, waiting to see if you're going to be on the team or not. Because that morning you wake up, you're hoping nothing's on ESPN before you hear, and then you show up to work and they either say, give me your playbook, or they say, hey, meetings at 4:00, like that's your two options. And if they say meetings at 4:00, you go home, and you enjoy your day at the mall, you go shopping, you eat lunch. If they say, hey, we need your playbook, sorry, it didn't work out. If you're just in a hotel, you start packing up and you wait for that email to say, here's your flight and your ticket. You can leave, whenever you're ready. Or, if that's your house and you've been living there, then you got to decide, like, is another team going to pick me up? And then I got to pack up some stuff to go to another team. So it's going to be a tough day for a lot of those guys. But I think for us media people, we like to sit and watch who gets released, because then we know. And I talked to Chisholm Oprah. He's the director of scouting for the Vikings, pro and college. And he said that's what they're doing right now the most, is they're going to be watching preseason games from other teams for that reason. Not to say it's just quarterback, it's all positions. Like, they want to see, is there another guy out there on film with another team, like joint practices. They actually send some of their scouts to joint practices of other teams that they might want a guy from. So it's just being able to get out there, and we'll probably see Patriots, Vikings joint practice. We'll probably see other scouts from other teams at that one. They just want to, they're all helping each other out, because it's also like, hey, we know we're going to cut this guy. You guys should come check him out if you really need this, or if you really need that. The Vikings are always like, I've listened to Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi talk to former players that got released. And the one thing a lot of them have said is like, man, that was tough on you guys, but man, you guys did it, first class. Like, it felt like you cared when you let me go. And Kwesi even said, like, yeah, man, he said, we do though. He's like, it's tough. Like, to tell a guy, you didn't cut it, you didn't make it, it's not as cutthroat as what Kevin O'Connell faced on Hard Knocks. It's some little heart to it with the Vikings. And so I think that's the other part of this. But yeah, I think they are. I don't think they're dead set on Sam Howell right now.
Yeah, Julia, little head scratcher, because the Vikings had every opportunity to go sign a backup quarterback. And they sat there and they had the money. They could have done it. They let veteran backups go to other teams. And they seemed very tunnel vision on this idea of, well, let's kind of finagle our way into a draft trade and we'll get someone cheap like Sam Howell. So they kind of made a bet on Sam Howell. And thus far, I don't know if it's paying off. And this is a quarterback that, again, they're planning to rehabilitate in the Sam Darnold. I guess people named Sam, they need to be fixed. I don't know what the deal is there. But they're thinking they can fix Sam Howell, but his resume is not great, right, in the league. And now they're in this position where I feel like we're already looking for someone for better insurance if JJ goes down. So how do you feel about the QB situation?
I think that, I don't know. Sometimes I reminisce back to my very first training camp when it was KOC's very first training camp here. And I don't think Kirk looked very good during that training camp, because it's a very complicated offense and trying to figure it out. And I think, to Ron's point earlier today, it's training camp doesn't tell you a whole lot about what this offense is capable of, because you have thousands of fans in the stands where they tell you not to videotape. But if you're going to allow that many people to sit there and watch your practice and your 2-minute drills, how much are you actually learning about what this team is actually going to look like this season? We go into the season basically blind, and they do that on purpose because no one's supposed to know what this team looks like. And I think that, we're 2.5 weeks through training camp now. And so it's very early to judge what your backup quarterbacks look like. And I think, I don't know, I guess Brett's been there for a little bit, so he has the most experience with this offense besides JJ. So it's an odd situation. It's a hard situation to be in. I don't know who they would go. I mean, I guess, yeah, you're right. Like, wait around and see who doesn't end up making a roster. And then if you're really not confident in Sam Howell at that point, you go try and pick somebody up. But they're kind of, if Sam Howell's not the guy, they're kind of in between a rock and a hard place, I feel like. But you know what? Also, like, I know, like, Max Brosmer, I'm such a huge fan of Max Brosmer as a person and as a leader on a team that I'm rooting for him. Like, I hope that there's some kind of success in his future in the league. So I don't think it's so much of a, like, surprise necessarily that he's hanging with Brett and Sam Howell, because he's a very capable guy, and he's like basically a psychopath when it comes to his work ethic. So, good on him for keeping up with everybody else.
All right. In closing, the elephant in the room, the initials game. For two of you, for those uninitiated, KFAN has their initials tournament. It's a sensational game. They've been doing it for a decade. If you're in the market, I'm sure you know. Ron and Julia played against each other in the tournament. They tied for second with 2 apiece. They were 1 back of the winner, Chris Hockey. I just want to know how we're going to settle this tie. I don't think we can't have a tie between the two of you. So do I need to host another clue as a tiebreaker?
We should race.
Okay. No.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Rod's like a whole foot taller than me.
I'm 45. And you're 25.
Like a former NFL wide receiver.
I thought that the two of you both could have won. I thought that there were a lot of clues left on the board for everybody. Like a couple clues snuck through the cracks.
Senior moment. That was the one.
You all had.
I almost had Sugar Mama. I almost had that one, and I almost had. There was one with Hockey that he got.
I know. I had Sugar Mama, but I went too soon and said second marriage. I figured it out the minute he said, what was it, arrangement or something? I was like, because I was thinking dependent, blah, blah. I'm like, that's second marriage. That's a woman, second marriage. Second marriage is about like letting go, dependency, freedom. And then I was like, when he said financial, I was like, And then what Grimm got to sit there for a second, then he said it, and then he got it. I was like, but yeah, silent mode, never had that one. I was thinking stock market till he said activate. I'm like, how do you activate the stock market? Yeah. So, yep. Swim meet, same thing. I had sea moat because I was thinking water divisions. You divide water with a moat. Yeah. Swim meet. It's not, but I got 2 though. I'm just happy I got 2, and I'm glad nobody was thinking sleep mask. I knew mask right away, and then he said silk. He said silk, and I was like, oh, sleep. And I was like, but I could not figure out what the first word was. Sleep mask.
You both get invited back next year. That's what's important.
Yep, we're back. Hopefully we don't have to go against each other anymore. Yep. I learned Chad Daniels and Julia Daniels are brother and sister. I figured that out. I didn't know what the heck was going on there. Yeah, didn't know that. Kelsey Cook, I'm gonna watch one of her Netflix specials. I told her I have not watched or Hulu. I think she's on. So
yeah, it's on Hulu.
Check her out. And see, have you watched it, Julia? Have you seen any of her comedy?
I haven't seen it. No.
I'm gonna check her out. I told her I'd check her out. I even told her, I was like, we're going to try to get her maybe on our show. Just have her come on to this one morning. Just see if she wants to jump on. But I'm going to try to get her on the Vikings Game Day live show. She said her and her boyfriend go to games. So I'm going to see if maybe let's have her up for like 2 to 3 minutes to just do like a guest pick segment where we have, because we're having Jared Allen this year. And I forgot who else the Vikings have already made us have. Like they picked former players to come. So Jared Allen, thank goodness. That's a good one. That's a great one. Hall of Famer. And I forgot the other one, but I was like, "Hey, I'm like, let me talk to the network and see if they can just have you up to talk about your Hulu special or something." So, yeah.
Well, Ron, you gave a great plug for our show too. So I'm expecting viewership to be through the roof on this show this morning.
I just wish I had done it sooner. I didn't even think about it to the end when he said, "What's going on with you guys?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, we do a show on Wednesdays." Perfect
marketing to get you both together. We planned that. That's our Viking squad show for today. It's back tomorrow with Arif, Luke, and Luke, the 4 horsemen, plus Ron Johnson coming on every Thursday. Thanks, Julia. Have fun with the long day at Care 11. It's our last Reggie Wilson-less episode. He's back next week from paternity leave. We'll get the rundown on him and plenty more Minnesota Vikings talk as we roll on in the preseason with the Viking squad.
Tune in for Locked On Initials tomorrow. I got 3 questions for the guys. We're going to pick an initial. It's going to be all athletes, though. It's going to be an athletic initials tomorrow.
Nice. Can't wait. Make sure you tune in tomorrow.